and we're going to hand it over to Jason Exposto, who's the winemaker at Futo. So we're moving to the west side, and you might say, well, why didn't you have this wine after Tokalan? And the reason is because now we're moving into vineyards that are more elevated bench and or hillside, and I think that there's kind of a characteristic there between. It'd be interesting to taste wines from Phelps and Futo, but that are opposite sides of the valley, but that are kind of symmetrical shaped places, and so there is a method to the madness. But now we're going to taste the Futo wine. So Jason, thanks for being here. And what are the takeaways? What do we need to know?
So no, it's actually, I love that Ryan actually touched on the diversity of, not only Napa Valley, but, within these appellations that you're going to be tasting, there is so much diversity. And I think now in this current age of us making wine and growing wine, this is kind of what we're on the quest to, not only discover, but to showcase to the world, really. But Futo itself, I think the conversation around what we do in our work, it always starts with site-specific character and through the lens of wine growing itself. So we're on the western foothills of Oakville. It's predominantly ancient seabed uplift, so shale and sandstone. And the property itself is about 170 acres, and we have 14 acres under vine, so a very low percentage of the property is planted, and that's mainly due to the steep hillside terrain. But it allows for this biodiversity, with it mostly being under old growth redwood and oak forest. There's kind of a pristine nature and not only a calmness to the place, but I think to the wine itself too, really exhibits that, and that's something that we take as a cue, as a site-specific character. And so ourselves as wine growers, we are all in-house farming, and I consider myself more of a viticulturalist actually than a winemaker, and that. The team that we have in-house is intently focused on, individual parcel character. And to that end, we have individual team members that are solely responsible for certain parcels of our property, just kind of driving more of that intimacy and relationship with the vineyard. So obviously being organic, employing techniques such as custom cover cropping, compost tea preparations, and always on the search for ways to adapt to what we're seeing seasonally these days, in not only in Napa but around the world, with dry farming and some of the warmth that we're seeing with the vintages. So, with what we do in the winery, it's really connected to our wine growing practices themselves, and we take that similar type of mantra in the winery itself, employing native yeast fermentations, very very light extraction on the wines, and we almost think of extraction in terms of infusion. Rather than really working the wines, long macerations, and on from there, use of very custom wood profiles, really targeted towards focusing the wines and transparency. So we don't want the wood to mark the wines at all, and we employed various capacity vessels in the cellar, from barrique right through to foudre, large format wood. So 2021, it kind of played to our hands in all these things that I'm talking about with site-specific character. Each individual parcel really was a really wonderful tapestry at the blending table, and I felt like it really drove what we love to see in our wines. You know, being in Oakville, there's no lack of power in wine. We're always on the quest for finesse and that weightless kind of expression. So yeah, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for being here. So as you can see by the map, Futo is really at the upper elevation